This is your daily market recap for Thursday, December 8th, 2022. Let's go.
Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well.
This is Dan Max at HP Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is your daily market recap for Thursday, December 8th, 2022. Hopefully you're having a great week. Let's get into it. As of right now, again, 100% cash, watching the market, have some thoughts, some ideas about potentially what's going on. Personally, again, waiting for some more action. I always tell people my best trades typically come from the most patience. Imagine running a marathon, winning a big race, doing something great, assuming you can find the next big niche, assuming you can, jump right into perfection or execution on the highest level without kind of a decrease in the pressure, the timing of things, just allowing things to relax. It's pretty hard. Again, and it's not sustainable. And a lot of people say, well, did the market top? Or are you waiting for this? Well, let's get into it. I mean, because I think personally, when stops get hit, you don't just jump right back into trades. I tell that to people all the time. Unless you find something to be extremely volatile and at an extreme blowout top, bottom, maybe that makes sense. But when the market's in chop cycles and you're running what I would say your risk is decreasing, your reward is decreasing compared to your risk, you just kind of got to go to cash or take your profits and then reload, watch, be patient. I know a lot of people can't do that. People feel like they have to be invested every day of the year. And the reality is that, they talk about the market as a whole, like the 10 best days of the year make out, 65% of the gains and the losses, more like gains that they talk about. But again, what does that say? There's only so many big up days, and then there's consolidation. And then if the market's still in a bear market, which I think it is, but the Feds are in a sweet spot, as we talked about, because again, lower rates, lower gas prices, oil, whatever, commodities, CPI coming down. I don't think the world is about to implode. I love seeing the banks warning of slowing economy because every time they say that, the market seems to rip higher later. It's almost like they're giving signals to each other like, hey, let's mislead the markets again. And as we've seen multiple times, then real man of genius, Jamie Dimon. Yeah, they've done this endlessly in my career. And so I just say it's hard. You're like, that's not a really good answer. I'm like, well, if you don't know, what's the best thing to do? Consult the map, consult the past, consult your evidence versus, well, I'm just going to put my head into it and figure it out. And that's what I tell people is sometimes some of the worst things you can do is try to assume like right now, today, this minute, the time you log into your trading, platform is the time to trade. History proves not. Just keep that in mind. So be safe, be thoughtful. If you're new to the channel, please follow on Twitter. Always posting our ideas, thoughts, processes. If you're new overall and you just started following, please subscribe. You'll get notifications of live events, videos, posts, whatever. And check out the educational videos. I'm telling you, there's so much here. And on that note, let's go to the evidence. Now, a lot of people ask me about digital currencies, and it's crazy because, I don't own any personally. And again, I'm not whether I believe in them long term or not. I believe there will be winners. It makes sense. Is Bitcoin one of them? I hope so for the people that I know that own it. But at this point, it kind of reminds me of sometimes how commodities, materials, metals have traded, essentially being very manipulated. And it doesn't really seem like it has much, 8, 9, 10 days here, just holding up around the 17s. To be bullish, you got to get over it and close, not like this long wick. If not, maybe it consolidates. That's not, again, sometimes the best thing to do is trade other things. And the same thing as knowing when to trade. It's knowing what not to trade sometimes, potentially. Because when you see the capitulation with the volume, you should expect the rally. When you don't get it, something is wrong. Now, it could be playing traps, just like you saw with like oil recently. Like you thought you had the volume. It looked like it should hold. You bounced, and then you got to be careful because, like high and tight is bullish. Low and, stuck is not bullish. It's, it's bearish actually. So Bitcoin, not a ton to say about it. Just be careful out there. I mean, and this is the thing. It might be weeks, months before this starts over again, and it could chop out. Oil. I mean, we saw with the USO, the action had the volume, it popped, and look, it couldn't follow through. Now you're back at the trend line lows. A lot of people are, speculating that this is the bottom, but as you blow out the bottoms, just like you blow out the tops, usually some sort of capitulation action follows. And again, if we're missing the bottom, do you not think it'll be some sort of retest or head and shoulders? I like the trend line here, but at this point, even with the pipeline, again, if you didn't see I think there's a Keystone pipeline was turned off because of maintenance, some sort of issue, and oil still dropped today. A little weird. It says to me, and I've seen this many times, study the past if you're not familiar with this, institutions blow out with commodities all the times, right? They leverage hard. They leverage 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 to 1. Who knows exact. Doesn't take a lot to blow them out, especially when they're in positions where now clients are asking for redemptions, people are bailing on them, money gets tight. They're forced liquidation. And so forced liquidation is typically the capitulation, right? Just like when you see a short squeeze, it's forced liquidation of shorts getting squeezed to new highs. And that gives the market makers unlimited ability to get in or get out as needed. And at this point, mid-60s would make sense. If we're making new lows, you can't be bullish until either you see some sort of signals. And I can show you the signals in gold and other things that we've talked about before, but that's your job, is to know that, all right, a bottom, when it breaks, right, probably makes a new low. Well, let's see some more little straight line move. We'll see what happens. Personally, one of the things that always connects with capitulations and blowouts is news. Just keep that in mind. There's usually some sort of news factor, right? Because not only are institutions blowing up, it's someone else out there going, oh, crap, our prices are getting blown out too. We read something that oil this, oil that, and the mass media pushes that out, and typically what happens, right? Retail kind of jumps off the cliff too, right? They tend to as well. Nat gas said the mid to fives probably the main downside. Well, again, when you drop 30% in 7 days, you bounce back. I'm amazed how people are like talking about this like it's some sort of like confusion. Like, oh, we thought it was going lower. Like, no. We talked about this for days. Like, I mean, did the weatherman stupid like, oh, all you need to be is a weatherman to predict natural gas? Like, it didn't even matter. At a certain point, it was oversold. It's just a matter of, did you want to take the risk on? Do you trust nat gas's upside if oil is lagging? If XOP and all sorts of drillers are lagging? Again, remember, the drillers and the producers lead the commodity, right? Because they are on the front lines of the pricing of it, right? And if those stocks are dropping, well, typically oil and gas follow. Same thing with gold, the miners, silver. I mean, see it all the time in metals. So they have a love-hate relationship of who leads, but honestly, it's always the trust the miners, the explorers better, because, I mean, when those names get bought, smart money knows what's going on, right? You don't necessarily have to buy gold or silver to know that the miners are going to be there to produce it if there's expected upside and potential. So I digress back to nat gas. I mean, could it play a head and shoulders game? I don't know. Remember Freeport gas transport area has been, I'm like bumbling my words today. Sorry, long day. It's a late recording. That hasn't come back online yet. So there's clearly a glut of inventory, and maybe that's the same thing what happened with oil, right? Is that before the caps came on, maybe oil flooded the market at higher prices, and now that just needs to work off. And it could work off maybe in a couple days, weeks, I don't know. The dollar. It's how many times I say you're probably not going to V bottom. You chop bottom, retest, I don't know. Doesn't look that bearish or bullish at this point until we know what. Do you hammer out the bottom and go? The dollar at this point is probably going to be locked in until what? At least the FOMC. So expecting big volatility in the dollar till the Fed speak is probably not, rational, right? Like, why would the dollar go anywhere? Unless some news came out. But until the Fed speak, probably not. TLT. People talked about shorting this up here at the 618. There's another VAP zone in resistance slightly higher. As you can see, it starts it right here around, 111. I mean, I see the understanding of the short with a novice gap. Don't trust in interest rates. But now here's the thing, right? Everyone's trying to compare this to 2008, right? Where interest rates went much lower. And I've noticed this and I lived it. And then the market followed. Well, remember, this year has been a 60-40, stock bond account blow up of epic proportions. Because usually, that's why you own bonds, is so that when stocks aren't doing as well, bonds are doing better, yada, yada. No, both got murdered this year, right? Question is, does the market follow it, right? Is the market going to jump back into liking low rates, or is pricing in the peak of interest rate hikes at some point? Maybe, we don't know. The bond market typically is pretty smart, and it leads, but at this point, is it a trap? We don't know. We don't know. But if interest rates continue to rise, but think about it. I mean, here, check out the weekly. They were pretty oversold. Pretty oversold. So let's see what happens. Here's the weekly. Here's your next resistance, as you can see. We've talked about this one a lot, right? You can see the resistance. This area goes back a ways anyway. I don't know if I want to be that early, right? That's just the question. So this is where being in cash, you can make an argue that is the blow off top novice gap on the daily, correct? I'll go back to it. But you also could argue that if the market's about to crash, well, maybe the TLT does bounce more. Either way, it's a little too difficult to know for sure. The VIX, sometimes you just got to wait. I know that's not what people want to hear. We talked about it. Once it got over the 20-day, could probably get up to 23, 24s. Got up there today. It feels too simple. It could be that simple because the market wants to run up higher before blowing off. Or it's what I think is you're going to get like that spike up into those 23, 24. I guess you got technically in there. Maybe I should just say 24 plus. 2350 plus. Maybe in the 100. I don't know. But some sort of action that triggers a near-term capitulation or the start of the next move. This is where it gets real difficult. And you're going to miss moves in your career. If you think you're just going to freaking ride every wave perfectly, and you think like a surfer, you just can't catch every wave. And ideally you try to, but that's what the Discord room is for. Other people can do it, great. They're in it, good. I'm not going to... Again, if you were short the market and you were trading around your position, I don't see anything wrong with that. If you got in at the highs, the levels that we talked about, I just thought it would be more of a blow off because it seems everything is a blow off these days. And we talked about previous how channels would break after tendencies of non-channel breaking, like right here. We'll get into the SPY. We talked about how this broke down after hitting it multiple times. Then that was the bottom. Well, here you go. Popping to it. Is it just that easy? It's going to hit the channel high and then fail? That seems silly. And I've said a couple days, watch what happens. If we get to the 100-day, 20-day, we could play this game of chop city between it. And if you're not familiar with chopping between moving averages, let me see if I can find them. Here's the 100 and the 20-day. The 100-day, 20-day was a game. You'll see it in other situations. 100-day, 20-day, kind of. Maybe not as aggressively. Keep in mind, the volatility's been higher. Let's see if we find another one. There's always these repeating patterns. Why are my moving averages just now catching up? 50-day, 20-day, kind of chopping around. Come on, moving averages. It can happen. That's all I'm saying. Why is it? Come on, catch up. Here it is, 50-day, 50-day. The 50-day matters, right? It always has on the SPY. It's always been one of the more important moving averages. It's catching up. Do we hit it? I don't know. But right now, 100-day, 20-day compression. That's all you really can say. If it goes higher, I'm not surprised if you get a 415, maybe 420. And if it breaks, well, first thing would be probably the gap fill. I'm at this point where, if I really do want to short, I want to see some up on some fluff. I want to see the news. And if it's down on some news that seems temporary, like say some sort of negotiation with Congress for tax stuff, even though it looks like they passed some of the defense spending, we'll see. We'll see. It just seems too easy. But maybe the market is too easy at this point. It's that fluffy because they really want to push the, here comes the new bull market. We'll see. The new bull market. Do you know what the bull market is? It's buy and hold only. I got so many people ask me, like, what do you do now if buy and hold doesn't work? And it's like, well, it's called trading for a reason. No. But buy and hold is not working, Dan. It's called trading. No. No. But it's the market. It's buy and hold, right? No, it's actually trading. That's what this market was meant for, is to be traded. In bull markets, you still have to trade. Nothing goes up forever. Look at the stocks that even failed entering the bull markets, right? Certain ones did. It happens. And then at the end of the bull market, all stocks typically fail. Oh, you mean I have to trade? Oh, never mind. Never mind. Let's not have that conversation. I had like so many people ask me this question. I'm like, it's like, you gotta, never mind. Just move on. Q's, not surprised, bouncing, back test to this like old little trend line, 20-day, slightly oversold. Keep in mind, the SPY went from, again, 40, what was it, 410, 411 down to 391. That's 20 points real quick. Here you go. 20 points pretty quick. 96, 78, 70, close enough. Whatever. Personally, and I say it, and I'll say it again, waiting for some sort of news. I'm waiting for the trap, waiting for the extreme. And if you're not familiar with this waiting game, it's rather simple. Just think about the Anna Cooling notes. The mass media is going to push a narrative, right? IWM talked about it lagging, bouncing, getting a little sloppy choppy. This is holding for now. We'll see. It didn't close over the 100-day, but it's below the 100-day, unlike some other thing, like the market, right? It feels like it's lagging. Remember the IWM leads. Again, I don't know who. I always sometimes assume too much that people don't know who haven't watched before, but that's another video talked about it a million times. Watch for it to lag. There's a lot of support here at the 179, 78 level. Just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. So we'll see. Again, it's sometimes you just need more information, and if you're wrong, you miss it. Get the hell over it. I'm just telling people, like, I can sense, like, some people really think that trading is being right all the time on every move all year long, nailing it. And it's like, you are a naive idiot if you think that you're going to be able to catch every move correctly and trade everything right, and put that kind of pressure on yourself too. That's the probably biggest issue is that you have to be. And it's like, no, it's where you get addicted to the gambling. Like, I can step away from trading and not think twice about it, y'all. And if you can't, that says a lot about your personality, right? That's like going to the casino table and be like, I can't leave till I get every chip, or I can't leave until I'm rich. And it's like, okay, well, guess what? That pursuit of never-ending richness sometimes is what exactly is why you fail. Why I failed. I had to learn from that. Gold, watching the 0.786, got the alarm set. It's just in between zones, y'all. I don't know what to tell you. I think it's a short because of the seasonality, because of what typically happens in December. There's a pullback. After that, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know, because in the hardest thing about the market, right, is what? Certainty. Well, we talk about gold does a lot of retests, right? Chop tops and retest. It's the king of it. It's the king of some sort of retest at some point. That was a little bit of an extreme, but here, just look in the past. December, January, here's your bottom December, here's your retest then. So if you want to think that gold has to go higher, I personally, as I said, 0.786, because people follow know what I'm talking about. Leave it alone. That's all I can say. So it gets pretty interesting in the sense of what you might think is going to happen here. I'm just not that aggressive at this point, and there's no need to be. So I like the short idea. Like, we've talked about this. I'm trying to think in my mind, like, what else can I say? It makes sense to me. Like, rubber band, like, spikes up, another gap up. That feels very novice gappy. And at worst, look what happens, right? If you come right back up after it shortly, it's an easier short because remember, there's people trapped up here. Look at the highest volumes up at the 200-day. See what happens. Silver chopping, gaps back up here today. Tight action. We've said, yeah, there's some interesting resistance here. You're not too far from the 0.618. Be thoughtful. I mean, that today's gap. And people are like, whoa, hold on. Gold, silver have to go up with the market or down with that. No. Not all the time. Not all the time. I'm just, we had the trades were great. We played the upside. I'm done. It's the same thing as like thinking about the market. Like once you get out, like having to get back in. Like people are like, oh, you got to do something with gold. I'm like, nah, I'm just going to chill the F out and not care. GDX. Not confirming. I mean, the 200-day kind of bouncing. I don't really trust it. GDXJ, 11 cents. The junior miner should be fluffing up more. Gaps up, closes back near the lows. Low volume. 200-day, talked about hitting some resistance. You should be gone. If it goes higher, well, guess what? It'll pull back at some other point. AEM, double topping. Keep an eye on it. AG. Doesn't look right. Like, don't you think if silver's up near its highs, like AG should be at least mid-10s? Why? No clue. Other than weakness means someone knows something. Newmont, we talked about once it hit this top of this candle range. Like remember, high volume highs and lows love to retest. Talk about that all the time. I mean, it's just a dog. Maybe it retests. It's probably not, so I'm not going to get the trade, but roof. That dog got fleas, son. PAAS, doing a stupid deal. Humana. 100-day, we'll see. I mean, it doesn't look that great. Tech. Look at that. AMD barely gets anywhere today while semis rip. Too funny. Trash. I mean, this is where it's getting a little, divergent, right? Divergence. Like the, Tough. Yeah, the pipeline outage, largest spill in decade and unknown outage duration. Wow, jeez. Keystone Pipeline being out. That could be interesting. But you don't really want oil to bottom on like news like that because it's temporary, right? You just want to see like someone get blown out. You want to see literally like institutions just exploding. These issues can price in pretty quickly and come right back, right? Because this isn't like a one-time temporary thing like where money explodes. Sorry, I'm just reading someone's post. AMD, yeah, I don't even know. Like, move on. NVIDIA talked about this was acting better, right? Here comes channel high, 200-day? Question mark? Feels more likely. And people are like, oh, I'm going to short NVIDIA. And then, again, if you post that on the Discord room, I'm like, I guess you haven't been watching the video. I said this 1,000 times. I was like, man, this is holding up much better. Why wouldn't it hit the confluence, the 0.786 trend line, like slight whatever flag channel high in the 200-day? I mean, there you go. SMH. All right, we've talked about it. All right, you're looking for that short. Choppy. It's over the 20-day. And this is what's hard here is, you're starting to see headlines that we're going to allow China. We're going to allow chips to be sent to China. China's going to be able to, we're going to be able to use Chinese chips. Is that bullish or bearish? I don't really know, but clearly, people, American chip makers getting into the Chinese market seems bullish, but I wouldn't want Chinese chips in any of my products, that's for sure. And they're probably there, and they're probably in this freaking microphone, I have no doubt. Probably listen to me right now. Konnichiwa, bitches. Oh, I don't think that's the right language. So let's see what happens here. I mean, I always thought it was possible for the 0.618 broadening pattern. You see why it's like, if you don't know, like, just you can wait. I mean, some of the best opportunities have come from just being patient. Adobe, Doji comes back up to the 20-day. Doesn't look terrible. Apple, it broke below the channel, or sorry, the little channel here, back testing it. If this is a bear trap, yes, it should get back up above this channel. Hopefully, man, if you can see this in the 155s, the market looks ripe. Feels like an epic short. Amazon, people are talking about this is bottoming, potentially. A higher low. Doji at the lows. Prove it. Get over the 20-day. I mean, if you're in it, yeah, great. If you're not, 20-day is going to be a bear. It's gonna be a bear, big bear. If you know what that's from. CRM. Why is? Yeah, there you go. No. Something like that. Breaks below, bounces back. This is interesting because it feels capitulatory, but I just don't like the stock. It just seems to break hearts. I mean, maybe it's due to bounce and then flop, but software going to be trading at single-digit multiples at some point, probably. Google, no love today. Sorry, Googie. Yeah, back at the range lows. I mean, there's so much like divergent information here. Like, there's some stocks look great, some look like crap, some commodities look like crap, some are holding up. Confusion. When in doubt, it's going to play out at some point in a way that probably pushes both sides to take on risk or test their tolerance of pain. Cash is not pain right now, but some people might feel that way. Meta. Make it like a high, like a high. Talk about the 20-day holding, compressing. I still think it probably gets up into the gap fill. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, here's like a CRM, like just goes lower. Eventually it rallies. But if the market, this is the problem with CRM. If the market is about to peak, I mean, how much could CRM really rise? Dangerous. So Meta, probably the 130s. Mr. Softy, we talked about this one. 260s. Holds the 20-day. You can see it there. Good luck. Again, all these tech names all have slightly different fundamentals. NDAQ, you son of a biscuit. Why do you keep dropping? Oh, because you said it was going to be shit, Dan. Yeah, I did. You're right. I just missed it. Congrats if you're shorted. I honestly thought we'd get up to 70 with the market holding up. It's pulling back pretty rapid. 69 down to 63. If the market holds up, just keep an eye on it. Now it becomes very obvious, as I said, maybe it's just 68 max. Maybe it's the 20-day. I mean, let's just add an alert. That's all in my mind. Being wrong happens. I'm just amazed that people are like, oh, you're wrong once, I can't follow you anymore. You're an idiot. Okay, cool. Have fun being wrong on your own. You're going to be wrong at some point. It's just the nature of it. You got to be honest with yourself. You are not omnipotent. Neither am I. We're just trying to trade evidence. And sometimes when the evidence isn't clear as day, meaning very capitulatory, blow-offish, or choppy, we're needing resolution, action, you got to get used to it. I mean, it's some of the people, like when we get into moves at the highs and the lows, and then there's like these periods of just nothingness, and they're like, it's going higher, it's like, no, it's just consolidating, dog. MicroStrategy said the same thing a couple days ago. Like, if this holds and Bitcoin's hold at the highs, I mean, 230s, maybe. I don't know. I mean, good guess. Netflix. I like this stock a lot. It's gone through hell and back. It's based. It's broken out. It's capitulated. It feels much stronger. Holding up. I still think it gets to 230. I am waiting for some sort of movement in the market that would hopefully bring down prices so that this thing gets washed out just ever so slightly. I have my alarm at 294. I probably need to move it up to 299. That's all. Roblox. Interesting today. Microsoft, no Activision deal. Are they going to come after Roblox? I mean, they're always buying. And kids addicted to Roblox? Yep, check. Every one of them. 30s. I mean, somebody knows something down here. It's just when does it resolve? I mean, is this like Netflix 2.0, right? Where it just plays this base out eventually and then it goes. Well, if the market holds up, maybe Roblox catches momentum. I mean, I don't know why. Other than purely my own desire to play Netflix, I need to put more Roblox idea here to be thoughtful, because it is pricing at multiples that seem, it's not even multiples. It just makes sense value-wise if somebody was going to buy it and wanted to get kids addicted. Because here's your IPO price. We're now below it with big volume down here. Somebody clearly is going to buy it. Are they waiting? I don't know. Could be dead wrong on that, but that just seems logical. I mean, think about Netflix 2.0, right? Just choppy. Tesla, people wanted to trade this, and I kind of bless it, and I kind of agree. I mean, it keeps backtesting the downtrend, and the volume was greater today. Filled the gap. I mean, this is the thing. Could the market rip? Well, if Tesla, Apple don't look terrible, remember they lead the market. Like they're big parts of the market. I mean, he's a little suspect with Amazon, Microsoft, some of these other names, Goog. Again, I don't care if I miss the moves. I mean, this is interesting. Some people talk about trading this. I mean, it makes sense. I feel like, I don't know. I have thoughts, but they don't matter. It's almost like sometimes you say like, well, I think it doesn't matter, Dan. It just doesn't matter. Tech, as we can see, you're seeing certain names look better, certain names look worse. At this point, you best be careful. Letter X. Gotta move faster. 0.618, talked about yesterday, did not like that candle close at the low of the day. The market's just pulling back, that's not that big a deal. If the market is going to get smoked a little bit, maybe the 25s. And if the market's rolling over, then you best have taken profit, because that was a big up move. Nucor talked about struggling in the 150s. Man, I don't know why this congestion never goes away. Here you go. Clearly I'm allergic to something. Allergic to losers. Losing trades, maybe. I don't know. You're always going to have losing trades. That's the irony of it. You can't win every time. This area looks interesting. That's all I can say. I mean, if it doesn't hold, you can see it's coming right back. I would probably say, yeah, the 20-day, 145s. I've said this a million times. These names probably are stuck for a little bit. They've been leading in congestion. VALE fills the gap and then doesn't close at the highs. I mean, these names, it's kind of like the stock market. There's nothing wrong if they pull back and they congest, right? Like that's normal. More congestion, the bigger up move. Look at that. I mean, you go from 15 up gap up almost $1 on a stock like that. You do the math. It's like 7-8%. That's pretty strong. Consolidation. Arrow. This one's rather confusing, right? Because it gaps down, it opens up, closes low, holds it, closes at the high, gaps up, long wick. This is what I try to explain to people. Like, if you're not familiar with choppy and sloppiness, sometimes you just move on. CCJ, again, probably the dumbest trade I've heard of lately, selling June puts on this thing when the VIX was in like 20s, low 20s. This action you don't know. I mean, we like the stock long term, but if it has to hold up, I'm not going to bet on it until... Because Westinghouse has been known for corruption. It's so hard to know for sure. I like it if everything works out well, vertical integration of this name for nuclear. Let's just see. I mean, it seems like it's going to come back to the 20s at some point. It's doing it even while the market's not terrible. CF. A lot of people hit me up today and were like, you buying? I'm like, nah. Gaps up. No. I mean, we saw it. Some of this action before it went a little lower, right? I think gap up. No, not a ton of it recently. Chop, yeah. I mean, chop. I mean, this is what's so hard here, right? You could argue this is just, and this is where chopping alone, where, okay, at a certain point, if it doesn't look like it's going to break out, this is where you got to put yourself in the mind of the market makers. You know, and this is where, I mean, I think CF, like I've said, it's the last couple of days, like maybe 99, 98. Why? Because the market maker knows everybody believes this is going higher. It's in a chop cycle. Maybe it needs to press the lows one more time before it goes higher. Or if the market's about to roll over, they're like, all right, we got plenty of people who continue to buy this and we'll sell it to them. Because these candles, man, they don't look that bullish, right? Opens high, close low. Chops, open highs, close low, open high, close low. Doji, open high, close low. That's distribution, right? On the simplest form. But again, the volume isn't high, so is it the market makers pulling their bids? That's how I look at it. Mosaic, everyone's like, where's the science of all this? And I'm like, man, if you just believe that there's science only when it comes to trading, then you don't understand the art of the games that the market makers are always trying to do and play with your emotions. And so you have to think, what do the market makers want to do? Here's Mosaic, pops, flops. I mean, this area makes sense. Can't argue that. At this point, I mean, I feel like if you trade the stock or watch the stock for any period of time, I think you'd rather see the low 40s before you even think about buying it. This is my longer term pullback spot. Let me get that in there. All right. Be safe. NTR has been holding up better. Talk about the 20-day, right? NTR. I mean, 75 seems to be pretty. Wow, sorry, I zoomed out too far. Interesting. I keep writing this down in my journal. Like, watch this area. I don't like that's under the 20-day, but this does feel very capitulatory. So, I mean, if you think about it from the perspective of high volume candles love to retest, I mean, put this in your pipe and smoke it, 75, 74. I mean, I don't know, something like. You're right. Does that make sense? Does it make sense? It seems very obvious to me. Like, if they want to come and bring and retest this, right? Like, this area would tractor beam. And now that we can't get away from it, it just seems logical. It's the same thing like the holding pattern CF. AA holding up. Tariff stuff. It just doesn't look that great. I'm still torn by this because I think, as a 100% cash person, I look at it and I go, it's holding up better relative to the market. But here's the problem near term is that if I was the market maker and I want to take this higher, I think I want to shake out more people, right, before I start the next move. And what's the next move going to entail? Why? I mean, China reopening, maybe things aren't as bad, sweet spot. But maybe you get just that 44. 43. I mean, I said it over and over again. That to me looks logical. Call me stupid. I don't know. Call me Shirley. Not Shirley. XBI, this is just dead. This is so dead and choppy. I mean, I would venture a guess that the trade is to wait, right? I mean, here you could play the breakout. So people ask me about the stock a lot, and I'm like, sometimes you just don't know. And here is the saving grace of waiting things out when you don't know, right? Is that what if you're in this cycle? What if you're in the Bitcoin chop cycle? Well, then you start looking at other things and you got your eyes on different sectors, right? That's the part of this that's so hard. It's like you look at one thing and you're like, well, I have to know it. And it's like, well, does it have to mean it's moving now? XLF talked about the 200-day maybe bouncing back up to the 20-day. That, my friends, would be interessante. Make a lower high, maybe 0.618. It's funny, Morgan Stanley lays off 2%, announces 2% layoff of their workforce. Doink, bouncing right back. JP Morgan, again, banks warning. Recession's coming. Well, their stocks are not acting like it, right? They're up 30, 40% off the lows, making higher lows from May. Obviously struggling up here, but we'll see what happens. I mean, you watch the 135s, right? You've got that in your book. Do you? Because you should, right? I don't know. I just think about it. I look at it. I go, man, 135 with a tight stop makes dollars make sense. Solar. This is another sector where it's like head scratcher. Oil and gas getting beaten. Solar holding up. Well, I guess the green wave or the red wave didn't happen, and blue wave is gonna help solar. We'll see what happens. Near term, that's probably the logic. Reality wise, probably not gonna work out, but we'll see. I mean, just holding here at the 100-day. Need more information. ENPH, man, it's getting pretty wide and loose. Really want to see it. Got really close to my alarm. I really want to see it up here again. I like the choppy action. Keep in mind, like, that September OPEX was really choppy. Here comes the December OPEX. Can we get real choppy before the next, start of the year? Remember, that's the end of September was a quarter. End of quarter capitulation. I mean, I got to write that one down because that seems very logical. Wow. Yep. OPEX. Pop. Top. We'll see. All these names, they look very suspicious, right? Sedgerton. Sedge. Solar Edge Technology. I mean, it's up into this resistance zone. It's getting real sloppy. Wicks, tired. I mean, we'll see what happens. First Solar, this one actually has not been rallying back. It's making lower lows. Suck it, Trebek. You may have missed the top. This thing is underperforming. However, fills the gap. To think that it's not going to have some more choppy top is hard. That's where I have this alarm at 175. You may have missed it. And if not, then it probably hits the 50-day channel low and bounces. Because again, if you go from straight top to straight bottom, it usually bounces. HYG, here's another one I was looking at. I always talk about corporate debt holding up yesterday. Okay. Doji today. Let's end it with oil and gas, the mother of all confusion. Economy's great, oil's crashing. That doesn't make sense. USO smash below new lows. I think you can get down into the low 60s, maybe upper 50s. Now remember, this ETF decays. If it can't capitulate there, something's wrong. Something's wrong. Someone's getting blown out. That's just what seems logical to me. And maybe that's the thing. There's going to probably be some sort of oil news. And wait for that oil news. And if, again, you can't rally on Keystone Pipeline leaking and busting everywhere and making mess and shut down and supply, then what the hell can you bet on? UNG bounces today with nat gas. Remember, this ETF decays. Be very careful with it. Trade it. If you're trading Boyle and all that other stuff, woo, gambling. Gambling hard, I get it. Oversold rally. That wick today, very depressing if I would be a nat gas bull. But we'll see tomorrow. Good Trump, another cold weather spell. XOP. A lot of people talking about some, selling some puts, buying some calls, 329 area. Just keep this in mind. You've got a very defined, now again, if you look at the weekly, I'll show you a channel down here. Check it out. That's why, to me, at worst, 130. And could it go lower? Yeah, it can. So we'll see what happens. Moving right along. I mean, someone's asking me, like, hey, did you buy PXD yesterday? I'm like, nope. Thank freaking God. You're breaking out of the channel lows. Like, there's a reason why I have an alarm down here. Like, this would be an absolute gift if it got back down there and the floor held again. But the only thing short term, is just kind of note. I don't know why I draw this stuff sometimes. I just totally forget to save it, restart my computer overnight. It kicks on. It doesn't save shit. I would watch this area next. That's all. It probably gets a bouncer. I mean, think about it. It could probably chop into OPEX. Let's see. Okay, this is a post OPEX. Bottom. OPEX. Pop post OPEX. OPEX bottom. Who texted me? Sorry. Just trying to, again, I know these things. I'm just trying to review them and visually with you guys. September. This is what could be interesting about oil. We've said this a lot of times. Like, December could be pretty damn choppy. End of quarter, end of the year, end of the month. Throw all that together. If oil's not holding up well, like, somebody's going to get liquidated. And they're going to get their ass. I probably shouldn't say that. Just liquidation. Into December. Mid, late. I don't know. You have to remember, tax loss selling grows as something starts underperforming as you get closer to the end of the year. This is tough, y'all. ExxonMobil bounces a little bit today. I think they upgraded some sort of their buyback dividend. Yeah, they had a... Give me 2 seconds. This video is already 43 minutes. What's another second? ExxonMobil. The news today on them was specifically about... Yeah, they updated their guidance. And they said that they're going to have more money for exploration... ambitious growth plans for their dividend, ambitious plans for their buyback. Yeah, $15 billion here and there. I think $15 billion on the buyback. Wow. Yeah. That's not what you want to see when you announce really good news, right? It'd be like, sweet, no. These names clearly aren't done yet. Oxy, ended here. Sorry about the long video. It's just there's so much to debate here. Oh, clearly there's XDiv holding at the 200-day. Now that Buffett's getting his dividend, what now? Good question. These names don't look like they're done. Some lagging more than others. All right. Again, I appreciate the love, support, the donations. I know this is hard, but what they say, tough times make great men, women, people. Like, this is part of trading. If you think it's always straight line moves, lollipops, unicorns, to the moon, to the dirt, capitulation action, every day that you're thinking is no. It's just not like that. And this is what gets so difficult about trading, is that if you think you're always going to be right, you're destined to fail. So let me know how I can help you also too with real estate, because I'm telling you, man, if the rates go lower and you get this spike down in rates, you are going to see prices probably come down initially on the fear, but then the housing market will bottom shortly after that. And if you can sweet spot it and rates go lower temporary, they only go higher, you catch some people selling because they're panicking, they're reading the noose. Holy crap, please get in touch with me. 10 properties in 10 years. That's the goal here, to help you guys figure that out. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be shopping. You should be shopping. If you're thinking about holding the house for more than 3 to 5 years, or trying to figure out how to rent out your primary and buy a new home for an investment, turn your primary into investment and then buy a new primary and get middled like perfectly, you're going to set yourself up so well to succeed. I get excited thinking about it. All right. Talk to you guys and gals later. Peace.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.